Well, hey folks, I thought this was going to be the last video, but we've got a little bit of a problem that I'm working through, and I want to share with you what it is. So the amp works fine, but I noticed that when I was playing it, I had to put it all the way up to, I think, maybe 8 or 9 in order to really get it to growl, or actually to be a little loud. And thought about that and said, you know, this is a 40 to 80 watt amp, and I shouldn't have to put that knob past 2 to get some volume. So I said, let me check the tube bias of the output tubes. That's these two tubes right here. And you know, these are 7881 output tubes, which are basically a similar version to the 6L6s. And you know, doing a little research and that type of thing, figured out that the bias milliamp reading on these things needs to be somewhere in the 35 to 45 range. That's considered to be normal. But for some reason on this amp, when I did a bias check on them, I'm only getting about 10 milliamps from these things. Now that's not good. That basically is way too low. That's called cold. That's the setting that it's called when you have when you bias your amp. You know, 20 milliamps is considered cold. 30 is considered medium, and you know, 40 is in the upper ranges. And you know, I'm not going to get into theory about biasing and everything, but basically it controls how much power is going to your tubes. If you really crank it up to the top, the tubes aren't going to last very long. If you bring it all the way down to the bottom, they'll last forever, but you're not going to get anything out of the amp. So I wanted to explain that, and then let me tell you how I'm testing them first of all. So I have this little device here, and it's a bias checker, and it's basically a pass-through tube socket. And you'll see one, I have one right here, and it has an AB switch box on it, and you take these two leads and you put it right into your voltmeter, okay? And you turn the amp on, and I'm going to show you what that looks like right now. So let me do that. Let me turn the power on. Okay, we're going to turn the power on. We're going to look at our meter, and we're going to set it to millivolts DC, and we're going to watch and see what happens. Now, this is really milliamps that we're trying to measure, but millivolts and milliamps can be equally applied to each other in this particular case. And you'll see here that I'm getting, let's see, 9.5, 9.8, 9.9. I've got these leads in backwards. That's why it says minus. If I flip the switch, which goes to the other tube, I'm down to 9.3 on one side. And they're just about equal. They should be equal. If you have one tube that's like, you know, 15 and one that's 9, that's the problem, is you don't get equal power distribution. But the issue I have here is that these tubes are not hot enough. In other words, they're not, the output that's going to them is just not right. So let me power this off and I'll explain a few things. Okay. Now I'm not going to touch anything in here because obviously I just had this powered on and those caps are still energized. But if you look at those two electrolytic caps right there, okay, that's your voltage divider. And that resistor right below it, the brown resistor, is your bias resistor. Now in this amp, it's a 56K resistor, and it's a fixed bias, so you can't adjust it. There's no pot to adjust it. But what you could do is you can remove that 56K resistor, and you can put in a trim pot, a 50K linear trim pot, and you put a 25K resistor in line with it, and then you have the ability to adjust the voltage here. But that's not going to solve my problem because it's way too low. Something's not right. And I haven't figured out what it is yet. I'm going to keep working through it. I just don't know why I'm not getting that proper milliamp there. I am getting 458 volts on the plate, so that's normal. And you know, on these Fenders, if you look at this pair of resistors right here, close up on them, those are 220K resistors. I am getting 55 volts there, which is normal. And you know, if you trace the wires from here, they come back to these two yellow ones here, and then they attach to the tubes. So I'm getting the voltage at the you know, the 220K resistors that I'm supposed to get, but I'm not getting the milliamps, and I don't know enough about this to figure out why yet. So I'm doing research and figuring that out. The amp works. I can play it. It's just not as loud as I think it should be. So that's where I am. If any of you know anything about this, that'd be great. I appreciate it. I did check the wiring 50 times. Everything's wired correctly. This is my 470 ohm resistors going across the output tubes, pins 4 and 6. Those are all right. I did check that resistor right there to make sure it's the right value. It is 56K. This is 4.7K. That's a 2-watt resistor. So I've got everything right. I've got everything wired correctly. You know, there's nothing that I found that could cause this problem. On the outside chance, it could be an output transformer maybe. I don't know. But I'm not going to go anywhere near that yet. So if any of you have ever heard of this problem or know, you know, something that I could check, I'd appreciate it. If not, I'll be doing my research this weekend to try to get this thing where it needs to be. All right. Anyway, this is Ron. Thanks for watching, and we'll have another episode apparently. I'll keep you posted on where we are with these. Thanks.